ACCA Mauritius. I hope you enjoyed breakfast and are now all set to discuss the budget presented yesterday by the Honourable Colleague General, Minister of Finance and Economic Development. So as we usher towards a new era of development, we are honoured this morning to welcome amongst us three experts, Pierdino, Valu, and Pradeep Darsan, to go over various measures presented yesterday in the budget. I would like to just point out that we shall be taking pictures at this forum and that these pictures are likely to be published in the media or in the social media. So if anyone doesn't wish to appear in the pictures, please let any of my team members or myself know about it. To kickstart the forum today, we have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Panajapu, the chairperson of MIPA, to outline in brief terms the main measures announced yesterday. Pana, the floor is yours.
I had some late this morning that I did participate in breakfast with you guys, but I think about half an hour ago I was still, my eyes were closed. But thanks for the meeting. Head of ACCA Mauritius, Matthew Ramsey, members of the panel, fellow members of MIPA, the members of the medical panel of ACCA Mauritius, members of the media, if there are members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen. I thank Mr. Ramdin for letting me speak this morning. It's always a distinction to address you. Last night, Minister Pravin Jagannath delivered his 2016-17 budget speech under the theme A New Era of Development. It has now become a cyclical event that ACCA organizes a budget breakfast the morning after we get the panel. In the recent past, this has been organized alongside MIPA. Unfortunately, due to administrative reasons, I understand this couldn't be done this year. I trust that next year we should try to do a common event. However, I do thank ACCA Mauritius for thinking about the MIPA members and inviting us. As the dust hasn't settled yet, it's always good to discuss whatever has been raised, whatever measures have been raised by the minister during his speech. And also we have a more open mind, because more and more you read, more and more you become biased about what has been raised. I'm a bit out of breath because I ran from the car park. This session forms part of the MIPA's Learning and Development session, or Learning and Development advancement for its members. At the same time, the business community benefits from it through the ramifications of the discussions from the experts that we have here, and also from the members later during discussion. Concerning MIPA matters, in fact, I was expecting issues or measures to be announced during the budget speech. In fact, the government previously intimated that the FRA will be overhauled. I know that there will be some changes, but I bring a sign of relief, in fact, when we didn't hear anything about it. And in fact, I think with the help of my colleagues of the FRC, MIPA sat with the Ministry of Financial Services, and effectively I think the effects, the measures have been well mitigated. There will be changes, I would presume, in the Finance Act, but nothing has been measured in the speech, which I think is good, because otherwise there would have been serious matters. the build-up to the budget speech was in fact like a blockbuster movie teaser. That's how I saw it. The finance minister in fact talked about a make-or-break budget. I think it was more like a let-out-of-post budget, and with no offense, and with a balance of recurring old and new ideas being thrown in. There hasn't been the expected all that everyone expected. We'll hear today how our panel evaluates the feasibility of the minister's proposals. And before I finish my intervention, I would like, you must have received the invitation from MIPA to participate in a forum on the 11th of August. I would like to invite you personally to that event. I think it would be a very pertinent event, very relevant event for everyone of us. And so, wishing you a very informative morning. Thank you very much.
After our three eminent speakers have commented on the budget, we shall have a Q&A session, so we shall take questions at the end. I now have the privilege to invite our first speaker, Pierre Dinant, who will address you on the macroeconomic aspects of the budget, focusing on the effects of various indicators such as inflation, FDI, and employment. And Pierre will also comment on social measures. As you know, Pierre Dinant, CSK, GOSK, is one of our country's most renowned economists. Pierre is now retired, but has in the past held various high-level positions in reputed organizations such as the DBM, the Mauritius Chamber of Agriculture, de Chazal Dumais, Indian Ocean International Bank Limited, and Multi-Consult Limited. Pierre has also been the resident director of several GBL companies, as well as the chairman of the MIUD. He is currently a board member and audit committee chairman of a few local companies and institutions in the manufacturing and financial services sector. Pierre is also a resident board member of a few investment funds incorporated in Mauritius and a well-known economic consultant. He has published 2 books on the economy of Mauritius, namely 10 ans d'économie mauricienne and La République de Maurice 1980 à 2030, rétrospective et perspective. Pierre is also a regular contributor of articles and speaker on the economy of Mauritius. Pierre, the floor is yours.
I will proceed as follows. Have a very close look at the budget, how it is made, what it is made of from a figures point of view, and looking at revenue and expenditure and things like that. And then I'll, in a second part, I'll make a number of comments, including also on the social aspects. So let us start with the size of this budget. And it provides for expenditures of about 121.5 billion. 121.5 billion, of which 18.6 or 18.7 billion will be for capital expenditure and the balance for recurrent expenditure. In totality, the expenditure of government, recurrent and capital, is about 26% of GDP, about 26% of GDP. That is, we remain as a country which is not exaggerating on government expenditure when we think of countries in developed markets where you go to 40–50% of GDP. So it's reasonable although we don't know what we made with that expenditure. That's I think the problem of Mauritius. The expenditure is not exaggerated, but is it used to the best possible effect? On the revenue side, with total revenue is about 22.6 of GDP, again, reasonable, but I will not go into tax matters. I think Wasudev here will look at all these matters later. The budget deficit is forecasted at 14.96 billion rupees as compared to 14.92 this year. In percentage-wise, it goes from 3.5% deficit of GDP to 3.3. But capital expenditure, which in this year is 10.7 billion, goes up, is expected to go up to 14.5. And this is thanks to part of the India government grant being credited into capital revenue. So that's where we stand. In actual fact, nothing much different to my mind from last year. Overall, there may be differences inside, as I have just pointed out to you, particularly about the grant, but I don't see very much difference, and also quite interesting, because when you read the press and when you listen to the radio, they tell you there is a lot of a social slant to this budget. Yes, there are some measures which are interesting, lowering the price of gas, for instance, or of petrol energy. But when you look at social benefits, the so-called financing of the welfare state, when you look at social benefits, not all welfare state, but I mean social benefits, the allowances, the pensions and things like that, the social benefits in percentage-wise, in this year, 2015-16, has been equal to 27.1%, and next year is forecasted at 26.3%. So, in a slight reduction, which shows that these sort of generous giveaways are not there. Perhaps they are to be found in reduction of customs duties and things like that, but the subsidies themselves are not going up that much. We are told that there is this mesure phare of 500 million rupees over 2 years for families which are below the poverty line.